friends, Kathy Williams-DeVries here, bringing you a video on addressing articulation in the upper clarion and altissimo in the context of the Copland Clarinet Concerto. I'll probably be mainly looking at the cadenza, although certainly after 150 there's also a lot of tonguing in the altissimo. Now, while tonguing on most of the instrument below the sort of middle clarion is quite easy, you find that as you get higher up, say a G, that if you're not careful, you will get an undertone, and this increases in difficulty in the altissimo, especially if the instrument and the reed decides it want to take the upper overtone instead of the one you're playing. So especially like on an E, you want to be careful that, I'll just try and find a, okay, I'll just find this place in the cadenza. So if you're not careful, you'll go up to the A. So you don't want to bite too much. I think in the altissimo, you want to have as open and relaxed a throat as you can, and also a sense of pitching, so that you know that you're going to hit that E and that you're not going to squeeze an A out instead. So I'll show you exercises that I've done to get rid of the undertone, the th, and the likelihood of playing the wrong overtone in the altissimo. And this actually really helps if you try to play bass clarinet, because those notes are really tricky on a bass clarinet. You really do have to find the correct pitch, the correct overtone, because a bass clarinet is pretty unforgiving. Now, ideally, with articulation in the upper clarion and altissimo registers, you want to get the same sound staccato as you do legato. And it sounds easy, it's not. It does take a little bit of practice. But what I do is I get the sound I want. So say I'm playing a G. So I get a nice solid G. Now the trick to tonguing up in the higher register of the clarinet is not to hit the reed too hard. In fact, you only want to hit the reed, I wouldn't even say hit, I'd say caress the reed hard enough to stop the vibration but keep the breath going. So what I do is I gradually make the notes smaller and smaller in terms of length, but still the same sound as legato. So it's a very tip of the tongue, probably hitting the reed about a few millimeters below the tip. And again, with the G, as you'll find when you play the bass clarinet, you've really got to focus on what overtone you're in, so that you don't overblow to the next overtone. So I do this all the way up. The faster I get, the closer to the tip, and you do that all the way up. A flat's a particularly nasty one as well. And then A is the tricky one as well. And then all the way up. So then what I encourage you to do is set the metronome fairly slow and do this. So you go minim, minim, crotchet, crotchet, quaver, 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 semi-quaver. And then eventually start doing chromatic stuff. So actually I would do it more than that. And then down. And then into triplets. And then eventually semiquavers. So you see there's absolutely no th there. So it's sort of in the beginning of the cadenza. So I haven't quite got this up. I'll take it slow actually, and you can see what I mean. And we will stay away from the altissimo just at the moment. And so you can see that I'm hitting everything the way I want to be hitting it. So that if we go now to the sort of after the gradually faster, and this is how I would advise you to practice it. You probably use the long B flat there. So if we take that again. Yeah, one thing I wanted to say is a lot of people, I think, either have too hard of reeds or they hit the reed too hard with the tongue. I mean, ideally, the faster you go, and I'll show you just how fast I can go on a single tongue. That's about 136. I could probably today get it up to about 140. And then going up. And believe me, you don't get that fast by really slapping the reed with the tongue. So if we start at 80 in the cadenza, so the way you can practice. Now I'll explain myself a little bit better. What you should do is do what I did for the clarinet and put that through the whole range of the instrument. So, and do a 3 octave. And then eventually because you'll find it really loosens the tongue. So if we put that in the context of the cadenza, and then I take a little bit of a break there. I take a little bit of a break there. And we'll leave it there because we're starting to get in the altissimo. So you can see you practice it at that speed and it's actually quite manageable. There's 2 ways you can play this cadenza, either with the quavers absolutely straight, or you can swing them a little bit. And I always take a little bit of a break there, but we're getting into the altissimo. We don't want to do that at the moment. So then, say from 80, I would normally take it to 84, but for the purposes of this video, I'll take it to 88. So you've got this. And I recommend practicing it this slow so you can get those lovely accents. And then really bring out and then we'll leave it there because we're starting to get into the altissimo. So I will now take it to 96. Another exercise you can do is what I call double staccato, or playing the note twice as many times as you need to, but it means you're not worrying about the fingers. So and believe me, it really helps. So that you're playing the notes at the speed. Well, you're staccatoing at the speed you need to, but once you come back to it, so metronome. So now we'll take it up to 104. And that's about as fast as you would probably want to take that cadenza. Now let's address the altissimo. Now you really have to pitch your altissimo. And again, I do the same exercise that I did about 10 minutes ago. And you can see that at no time does the air stop. So then you try it on a C sharp, careful not to overblow to the G. Remember, really open throat, pitch the note you want. Same with the D. And you can imagine the huge amount of air strength I have there, and then sort of going up. And do that as high as you want, so that then I incorporate that. So now that we'll go back to 80 again. And then especially for the E, you want to be really open there. If you squeeze it all, you're going to end up with an A. So now if we take the first bit of the cadenza, so really C sharp, you know, be aware of what your top lip can do in keeping it to a C sharp. Now here I prefer to use the overblown B flat. So this is where you play it slow so that you can get a handle on the accent. So and you can take a little bit of time anyway there. Really, really important to pitch here. I would take that at like half speed, quarter speed, whatever speed you need in order to that's a really, really nasty passage, that. So if you take it at 80, and make sure that you don't scoop that C sharp. So now then, if we come to the end of the cadenza, again I use the overblown B flat for the F sharp. So a little bit of a push from the abdominal muscles there. And again, don't squeeze too much on that top A. And maybe even try and get the A through a relaxed open throat rather than biting. Maybe even hit like the C sharp key, so that eventually sometimes you can slurp that E a little bit. And yeah, that's really tough. So that's a way to tackle playing up in the altissimo staccato, so that eventually your cadenza should sound something like this. And that's the end of your cadenza. It's really hard on the chops. I'm finding it a little bit difficult myself because I've already practiced for an hour and a half. But I think to the fellow that emailed me, I think that will answer quite a few of your questions, and I will go through the entire concerto at some point and do a tutorial on that. Okay, so thanks for listening and bye for now.